Welcome to Twins Coast to Coast Mirror Image MS Madness podcast. We are identical twins, Tamara and Terry, living with multiple sclerosis. We are MS advocates who hope to shine a light on our experience to enhance others' understanding of living with a chronic illness. Our podcast is unique, informative, and we hope inspirational. Welcome to Twins Coast to Coast Mirror Image MS Madness. We are delighted today to have Montel Williams on our show. In 1999, after almost 20 years of symptoms, Montel Williams, a decorated naval officer and Emmy Award-winning talk show host who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Thank you, Montel, for being on our podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies.
Yes, we are thrilled. So today, Montel, we like to just ask you a few questions about living with multiple sclerosis. And we know, as we all have, our stories and our journeys are a little bit different, but please explain to our audience a little bit about yourself and your pathway of your life living with MS.
Well, that's a mouthful. I mean, I've been journeying with, I probably have had MS for now close to 40 years. Wasn't diagnosed officially until 2000, so after 20 years of being misdiagnosed. And my journey since my diagnosis has been up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's up, but, you know, I have some challenges like we all do. I literally had a doctor's report this afternoon because, you know, with age, and I led a very active, physically active life with, even in spite of MS, and probably pushed myself a little harder than I probably could have or should have. But along the way, I just really went to the doctors today because after having my annual MS checkup, my neurologist has noticed now for 3 years. 2 years ago, she noticed it to begin with. 3 years ago, she noticed it, but said, let me just, I don't really know what it is. Started to notice that I had a little arthritis in my neck and could be turning into a little stenosis. So that was 3 years ago. She wanted to keep an eye on it. I didn't get an MRI the next year because of COVID. I got one this past year. And it was enough to alarm my neurologist to say, I think I need you to go see a specialist. Because the thing that's so confusing about this is something that a lot of us who have MS need to understand is that some of the same symptoms that affect us with MS can affect us through having spinal stenosis or vertebrae stenosis. And though I've had no symptoms other than the pictures and images from my MRI, which are showing arthritis in the neck and showing some narrowing of the space between my spinal cord and my vertebrae, she was concerned, and I've had no symptoms. Nothing has ever prompted me to even ask a question about it. Every once in a blue moon, once every couple of months, I have a little bit of stiffness in my neck, and I attribute that back to my very active snowboarding days. I did have an accident where I went to the doctors and had it checked. At one point, though, I literally thought I had cracked my neck. And I didn't, but I damaged the vertebrae enough to now cause arthritis that's going to continue to develop as I get older. And what may end up happening is that I may end up having some contradicting symptoms where some of the symptoms from the stenosis could be similar to symptoms from MS. I may end up having some tingling in my hands and some tingling in my fingers and some inability to actually manipulate my fingers the correct way. I could have some balance issues. It seems to be, I think it's a T6 and between 5 and 6. So the doctors took a hard look at it today. I was in my doctor's office today reviewing MRIs and looking at him, and he seemed to think that he said, you're okay. I've shown no clinical issues whatsoever. However, it's something I'm going to have to pay very close attention to now for the next few years of my life.
Well,
this could progress.
Montel, aging with MS, we can have other things like your spinal stenosis, and it gets a little blurred and confusing.
Correct.
to know if it's an exacerbation, a new symptom of MS, or something new with just our aging process.
Correct. And this is the one thing the doctor, we spent a lot of time talking about that today, is the fact that this is going to be, he was basically saying this could be very confusing for you over the course of the next couple of years, because you may start to develop symptoms that you may run off to see your neurologist about, thinking that your MS is progressing, but it has really nothing to do with your MS. It has to do with arthritis and your stenosis in your neck. So we're going to have to pay very close attention. Maybe what you ought to do is start plotting down or writing down symptoms and things that you feel. And, you know, I do know that there are certain exercises that I do that exacerbate that, because I do get some stiffness specifically in my neck that are different than any of the other symptoms that I've seemed to experience from MS. And so I just have to really pay very close attention to that and start to remember, we got to admit it. We get a little older. There's some things
A bit older. I know we don't look older. We don't feel older, but our numbers each birthday, we celebrate. We're like, oh yes, we are that age.
Absolutely. I didn't even want to count the number this year. So it's like, it's starting to increase, and, there's really nothing we can do about it. But fortunately, I think, I've had a life well lived with MS.
Yes.
I've been able to thrive, as well as deal with the symptoms and try to find things that work to help, try to negate some of them and mitigate some of them. And I've been very blessed that some of the advice that I've had along the way, and some of the projects that I've worked on, and some of the things that I've done have been extremely helpful.
Montel, you have just been an inspiration over the years with your diagnosis and representing MS, being open about it. Many people in the public eye do not want people to know they've been diagnosed with a chronic illness. What allowed you back in the 90s to let people know that you had MS and share your story?
Well, it really wasn't until after I got officially diagnosed, which was in 2000. And I came forward publicly because, and I'll tell you, it wasn't that I wanted to jump out there and be very public. It was because I got a tip from a doctor who worked in a hospital where I had gone because I had a bout of nystagmus, and out of nowhere, and I had an MRI, and doctors looked at it, and that was the first time that a doctor had said, I really want to have you looked at by a real good specialist, because this sounds a little bit like MS. It could be, I don't know. And when that was first told me, before I even got my official diagnosis, someone at that hospital who was an employee there was getting ready to try to sell the story to a tabloid. And as soon as I found out that the tabloids started calling me and saying, we heard that you went to this hospital in Las Vegas, and we're wondering what the outcome of that was, I knew immediately that somebody was trying to sell a story about me. So I held a press conference and said, you know what? Yes, in fact, I've been diagnosed with MS. I got ahead of the story because that's who I am. I refuse to allow somebody to define me, but me. I own the definition of who I am, and I'm not going to let anybody out me and try to explain or tell people what's going on with me. I'll tell them myself. And so I held a press conference and I came forward. And since then, I got such warm response for coming forward that I decided to share my journey and my ups, my downs, and my everythings.
And I think sharing your journey has been so helpful for people. We know, Terry, is Tyler with us?
Not yet, no. But, we just so know from our individual experiences that just allowing ourselves to talk about it, be open about it, and share our stories feels so good when people come to us and ask for advice, or they'll message us and say, your video brought us to tears because we finally can relate to somebody either our age, or maybe their mom is suffering from MS and they just don't have an outlet to talk to somebody else. It's just so important to be able, like you said, to write your own story, to talk about it. And what a shame that is, that somebody was going to go to the tabloids and just write your story, whether it was going to be correct or not correct.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I think that's the beauty of what the two of you are doing. And that is by sharing your day to day and letting people understand that, it's not always all roses. However, we can look and positively look forward to the next day, because the next day is going to be a new day.
That's going to be a new day, and it's a great day, and life is wonderful. Montel, have you had struggles in your life with MS and dealing with a chronic disease?
Oh, I certainly have. I mean, there was a period of time, from about 2000 to about 2002 and a half, where, doctors back then, way before we started talking about opioid addiction in America, this for a fact, that the first round of the assault that doctors try to put on this disease is some form of opioid, and especially if you suffer from any form of chronic pain. And so, I went through that period of time where I was overprescribed, and then I tried to be overprescribed myself because I was enjoying them too much, and realized that I had to quit that and stop that. So blessedly, I had a doctor who confronted me about it early on before I did more damage to my body than I had already done. And, I quit the opioids back in 2001. However, really bore the brunt of the assault on my body for about the next 7-8 years. From a digestive tract standpoint, kidney standpoint, I literally hurt myself in ways that I wasn't aware that I had been hurting myself from being, taking so many opioids. So that was a period of time that was tough on me. And then after that, I have worked on several different kinds of, I don't want to call them protocols, but several different, ways to deal with and mitigate symptoms, everything from diet to exercise to medication to trying some alternative medications and other things like that. My journey has been an up and a down. Now, in the last couple of years, I don't know if you knew this, but I think you did. I suffered a pretty severe hemorrhagic stroke 3 years ago and 4 years ago. And that stroke, for a period of time, I spent a month in the hospital. It took me a couple of months to recover physically enough to get back to life. And then I've been recovering really ever since. I think I'll be in a recovery for the rest of my life. But even today, when we looked at scans that were just shot a month ago, the doctor, who's a different neurologist, very clearly said, "Oh, you did have a stroke." I said, "Yeah." Wow, it's a pretty big one. I said, "Yeah, it was a pretty big one. I'm very blessed to still be here." So, I've had to deal with that along with MS.
That's right.
At the same time. So, I don't try to put a foot forward that says I'm in perfect shape, but, rather than belabor the negatives, I'd rather try to stay focused on the positives and see if I can recreate more.
Well, that's it. Our lives are so precious each and every day. How have your children dealt with your MS and all? Because I know from our standpoint, our children have been remarkable because they have only known us since they were born that we had MS. How did they look at their daddy living with MS?
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, even till today, I have 4 kids, and they always compliment me on my perseverance and strength with my illness. And, they've been with me sometimes through the tough times. I can remember, doing things like going to Disney World where I couldn't walk the park. I had to sit inside in the air conditioner while they went out and enjoyed rides and while they enjoyed the walk because, the temperature was just so high that I couldn't be out. And my kids understood that, when the temperature goes up, dad goes down. So, they were very supportive of that. I ended up changing my life and started snowboarding and spending more time in the snow than I was in the summer. And they couldn't early, they didn't understand it. It was like they like to go to the beach. And I couldn't go to the beach. I can't go sit in the sand. I can't go sit in the sun. It's like throwing kryptonite around my neck if I go sit in the sun. So they understood that. But I mean, even till today, I've got a son who's a very active athlete. We communicate. All of our children and I try to communicate a couple times a week. and they're all grown. But he's always acknowledged the fact that he continues to say, Dad, I'm so impressed with the fact that you get through this the way you do. And it's like, dude, what else am I going to do?
Right. What else are we going to do?
Right.
Go ahead, Tim.
You are truly a motivational person, inspirational, so many. We talked with a young man earlier last week. His name is Tyler Campbell. Tyler, played Division I football for San Diego State University when he was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and kept powering through. His father was a famous Earl Campbell. He was a Heisman Trophy player. He played for the Houston Oilers.
Yep.
Was really big in football, and Tyler was on the path. He wanted to be like his dad. He was diagnosed, Montel, and the first person he saw a Black man on an MS magazine, Montel Williams, with a smile on his face. And he told Terry and I that never meeting you, but just with your smile, has inspired him for the last 10 to 12 years living with multiple sclerosis. Just your positive energy that shines through.
Well, I have to say thank you. I know you guys are going to try to set it up so we can communicate and I can talk to him. The one thing that I think has been and still goes on to today, the doctor walks in with the maudlin long face. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I have to tell you have MS. That's what starts. That's the first reaction that people who have MS have, is that somebody's, oh, I'm sorry. Well, damn it, you didn't know me before you found out I had MS, so why are you sorry? So let's back up here for a second. I mean, I think the one thing that we have as animals, human beings, that no other animal has is our ability to emotionally deal with any situation the way we want to deal with it. And so, I kind of looked at MS as the diagnosis as a mixed blessing, because finally I found out what was wrong with me. But secondly, it gave me an opportunity to understand that no matter what life throws at me, I have the ability to figure out how I'm going to deal with it.
That's right.
So when you say, the picture was taken of me with a smile, I don't think I've ever looked down on myself for having MS. I have it. What am I going to do? Say I don't have it? That makes a difference.
That's right.
I have it. So let's get on with it.
That's right. So guess who we have on right now?
Oh my goodness, Mr. Campbell, how are you doing?
Our special friend, Tyler Campbell. And he is on right now with his precious smile, who we adore so much. And Montel and Tyler, I'd like to introduce you two together today.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Nice to meet you, man. Your father was one of my heroes growing up, no question. I mean, I think, it was every Sunday. Got to see what Earl's going to do. And he did it. You know what I mean?
That warms my heart. First off, just as that's my father, that's my superhero, and you're right there next to that.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you've impacted so many people, and I'm gonna make sure I don't cry this time, ladies, because I cried last time, but I just really, Montel, I just wanted to tell you thank you. Your story, like it gave, as a Black man, young man trying to figure out what to do. Your smile it gave me everything that I needed for hope.
Well, I'm so glad, my friend, and I'm so glad that you took it and decided to share your smile, that big smile, with as many as you share with today. I mean, I understand. I know you're a motivational speaker. You're an entrepreneur. You're out there working, trying to make sure people get positive messages. And that's what life's all about, my brother. I mean, we are not here for self alone. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Doesn't matter what your faith is. we will be judged by what we did for mankind, not by what we did for our own self or our own family. And so when you can reach out beyond yourself and shine a light for someone else, and light goes a long way. So you shine a light for somebody else, that light comes right back around the planet, comes right back to you. So your smile is doing the same thing to you that you think mine has done to you.
Man,
It's doing the same thing to me. Thank you. And like today, I literally, I called. We originally scheduled this conversation for an hour earlier, but then all of a sudden, I literally, I got the notice from my neurologist saying, "Look, I want you to see a specialist about your neck." And I was like, "Ain't nothing wrong with my neck. You go see a specialist about your neck." Yes, ma'am. So, and I finally got an appointment. It was a tough day to get. It was hard to get that appointment. I got today, and went into that appointment with some trepidation, some fear, but now that I get to meet you, light comes back around, brother. So I thank you. But yeah, I went into that conversation because the first thought was the type of stenosis I had would probably require surgery, and I'm not looking forward to that. It's like cutting through your neck and trying to mess with your spine. However, fortunately, that will not have to happen now. We'll keep and pay attention to what's going on. You'll catch this in about another 20 years. The aging process, none of us can stop.
Right.
So, I like you, very athletic, even until about 10 years ago. I literally was hoverboarding around the world and snowboarding, thinking I was in my 20s. So most of my friends that were snowboarding were in their 20s and early 30s, and pushed myself to some limits that I really probably shouldn't have pushed myself to. I took a fall about 10 years ago where I honestly thought when I took that fall, I thought I broke my neck, and laid in the snow for about 40 minutes before I was able to get up and start moving around. And I had neck pain for about a week. And then I finally went to the doctor and they said, no, it's not broken. I was blessed it wasn't. But now, 10 years later, it's starting to cause some arthritis and some stenosis. But fortunately, it's been relatively stable for the last 4.5 years because I have memorized back that show the same amount of degradation. So if I stay on this path, I'll beat it to being under the cross before there's any problem.
I know that's right.
Right.
See that right there, ladies. But that's everything, right? Just continuing to keeping on.
We have to look, dude. We got I don't care what anybody says. There's only two choices in life: get busy living or get busy dying.
That's
Right.
And
all
we
four
want to stay busy living.
right. All four of us are strong warriors who have this in life. Life is beautiful. We are not going to slow down and stop. And we want to make sure our friends know we've got this so they can keep going on tough days, right?
Absolutely. You have to. I think, the truth is, no matter what your plight, no matter what your situation, and I've said this to people that I meet all the time who have MS, who have progressive MS. Look, you know what? That's what life threw your way. But if you still have the ability to move that finger, then get up every morning and move that finger.
That's right.
Exercise that finger. Keep that finger moving, because that finger's going to keep moving. If it starts to slow down, the finger doesn't move. Think about moving that finger.
Right.
Keep the process going in your brain. Keep it going. You know what I mean? There's nothing this world can throw at us that we can't deal with if we just have faith and belief.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. And support, Montel.
Well, no question. They're very funny. Right before we started this, my wife happens to be a flight attendant. She happens to be working today, so she has an overnight in another city, and she'll come back tomorrow. And I sent her a note saying, I'm so blessed that doctor's diagnosis came out the way it did, really just lifted a weight off my soul, because I've been waiting for this appointment for 3 weeks and worried. And but I said, but you know what? As blessed as I am that the diagnosis came through, I'm more blessed by the fact that you stood by my side and told me every day I'd be okay.
That's it, man.
So that's the only reason why I give her credit. I mean, it's really funny. Tyler, you don't know, I suffered a stroke 4 years ago, a pretty severe hemorrhagic stroke. As a matter of fact, it's the type of stroke that normally kills 50% of people who have it. John Singleton had a stroke similar to mine about a week and a half after I had mine, and unfortunately he passed.
Yeah.
A man from 90210 had one also about a week and a half after mine. He passed. And we had similar types of strokes. Mine was, a class 3 hemorrhage that literally kills half the people who have it.
Scary.
I woke up for the first 4 days, all I remember is waking up to my wife's smiling face, going to sleep to her saying she loved me. And then I was in the hospital for 27 days, and that woman slept in a cot beside me every single day.
Beautiful.
She is the reason why I'm here today. I would not have made it through that period had she not been there. We flew down to her hometown, and I went to rehab in a very small town. And she was there with me at the rehab center. She took me there. She brought me back. She stayed with me. She forced me to do extra rehab each day. And it's the reason why I recovered so quickly and recovered so many of my faculties as fast as I did. So you're absolutely right, when you say it's the support we have, but it's the support not just from those who love us dearly that we know are that close. It's the support from people like Tyler, for me.
That's right.
So you think I'm supporting you? Dude, you support me. You're giving it right back just as powerfully. Don't you think for 1 second that you're not? It's the fact that you let me know what I've been able to do for you. Lift me up.
Precious. You two are such a joy to know. I am so lucky to be sitting here right now with you men in our lives. This is a precious moment.
Oh, thank you.
Precious.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of men out there these days that are willing to acknowledge what friendship and true mankind and man-to-man spirit is all about. I thank you, sir, for being a man who does that. I knew this when I read a little bit about you. I read 3 paragraphs about you before Tamara and the twins are going to put you on with me. And, I knew who you were at your core just in those 3 paragraphs. The fact that you work as hard as you do to give back, the fact that you played football in spite of, along with, you thrived. Come on, man. Yeah. Your spirit is an aura around you that'll precede you everywhere you go.
Amen.
I love you, Montel. I think I love your wife a little bit more.
Thank you,
I think so, because I think we all can vibe with this. When you have a caretaker, when you have someone in your corner, it makes all the difference in the world. And as much that stuff happens, I know you know this, man. They don't know as much as what your wife has done for you. And I know the same is true for mine. And it's the part of the story that people don't get to see, and the love behind the scenes. And so, man, I'm thankful for her as well, Montel. I'm thankful you have that somebody in your life, bro.
I'm thankful that you have someone in your life. You have 2 children in your life that are just as strong, that are supportive of you. I have 4 kids. My kids are the foundation and my rock. Mm-hmm. However, I've said to them, I've told them that each one of them this to their face. I've said to them, I love you. It's unconditional. I love you with every bone in my body, but you got to understand, when the rubber hit the road, this is the person who stood in the bathroom with me and held me up when I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
This is the person who literally put 2 hands inside the shower to hold me while I had water running on my body because I couldn't hold myself.
Wow.
This is the person who sat there beside me in the bed and on a cot while I was crying with the old woe is me. He was like, baby, we're going to beat this. Let's do this. You're going to do this. So, you know, it's not that I love her more, but she owns me. You know what I mean?
That's precious. Well, you need that. And you would do that for her too, Montel.
And a heartbeat, are you kidding me?
I know it, right? I mean, in a heartbeat. And Tyler, listen to what Tyler does. This is so awesome. He, at every doctor's appointment, makes it a family appointment. He takes his wife and children, as young as they are, into the office so they don't become fearful, that the children can ask questions. And kudos to you, Tyler. That's just an amazing father. And just, I'm so proud of you for that.
Hey, my father always told me, you know, find the people who know what you don't know and spend some time around them. And my kids got 1,000,000 questions and my wife has 1,000,001. And daddy can't always answer them, but I can get you to the person and we can get answers together. And it takes pressure off of me having to explain. So, hey, we make it a family affair.
Absolutely. They get to share the journey. They'll appreciate the journey much, much more, you know, as the years go on. And, you know, you're going to do as well as you're doing and better. You're going to keep thriving. I really do believe that we are probably closer to, you know, I think both of you had asked me, how close do I think we are to a cure back when we first spoke? And for a while I was thinking that, well, you know, because the way this illness affects everyone differently, it may be a little harder for science to actually do what it needs to do to get to the bottom line of this. But I think we're getting closer. I really do. I've been working on a couple of protocols and a couple of different things in recent time that gives me more hope. I mean, you know, we're starting to have some breakthroughs and things like, you know, stem cell and mesenchymal exosome treatments and things like that, that I think we're right at the cusp of having some breakthroughs that are going to change the way this disease manifests itself and progresses.
I think you're so right. Look, Montel, since the late 90s, early 2000s, we now have 22 disease-modifying therapies for people diagnosed with MS out there. You know, there's just the next decade, I think we're really the scientists, the doctors are going to find something to repair the damage that has been done to the nervous system with MS. So you're so right about that.
I'm going to tell you, I could not agree with you more. You know, I won't give out the information during this podcast, but when we are taping, I will give you some information about some things that I've recently started studying myself that are promising, giving just that a little bit of hope that I think that we're starting to see anecdotally. And, you know, I'm one of those people who believes that an anecdote is only when it helps two people. When it helps 10, 20, 30, 40, now we're beyond anecdote. Now we're getting into some science. Yeah. And we're starting to get there right now.
I'm thrilled. Like you said, there's so many good things coming down the line. The researchers are just finding out more and more by the day. And it's just exciting stuff. And having all of us out there pushing the doctors and saying, we're good candidates for research, even at our ages when they say we're too old for this. I'm like, no, we're not too old. We can keep going and showing you that we can help with our, you know, remyelinating our myelin or whatever it may be. We're good candidates.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're good candidates, but we're also good in the fact that we keep talking. I think the more and more conversations are held about this, the more the public recognizes that there are those that are thriving, the more the public recognizes that there are those that are still trying their best to get answers. I think the clinicians are going to give the answers to us.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, and they think it's crazy, but I know it's comparison for me in 07 to you guys in the 90s and beyond. I tell them it's a good time to get MS. They say, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you need to speak to people who've been traveling this road for decades who didn't have anything to start with,
Right.
who had absolute. And I said, well, you've got options. And last time I checked, in life, whenever you have options, that means you have an opportunity. And so I know you don't like it. I'm not saying it. I don't like this disease either. I can't stand it. I wouldn't wish it on one of my enemies, one of my worst. But what I am happy that you have is you have even more options than I had. And for that, you have an opportunity. Your family has an opportunity, and that's what we can ask for. And it's going to get even better.
Absolutely. Get busy living.
You're busy living.
That's right. That's why for all these, I mean, like your children, they know daddy has a whole full life ahead of them, and we've got this. And for Montel, Tamara, and I, who are in a different age group, we've got this too. We're not going to quit. We're going to keep plugging along.
I mean, I look at this, the countdown's not over. I might be in the last quarter, but I got a full quarter, and I'm playing at the end.
He got some more snowboarding to do, is what he's telling y'all.
I got some more. Well, I got to be real careful about that these days. But I'm also now good enough that I'll not make those mistakes again.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
That's right. I enjoy having my hot cocoa, looking and watching everybody enjoy the ski. That's fun for me now.
I got to tell you though, what's really getting crazy for me. I went through a period. I don't know if you've dealt with this, Tyler, or Tamara, Terry. If you guys know this, I went with a period of time from about 2000 to about 2011, where I got to tell you, I'm serious. If the temperature went above 85 degrees, it might put me on the ground.
Yeah.
I literally, it's almost like kryptonite. I could walk outside. If I walk outside and it was 84 degrees, I would start heavily breathing, have to hold on to something to stand up. Then I went another 9 years where the heat wasn't affecting me as badly. And as a matter of fact, the last 3 or 4 years, I realized a couple of times I was standing outside, it was 92. And I was like, really? Because I'm out here. So I made it through. And okay. However, in this summer, and then when they say it's the hottest summer on record, I got to tell you, I take a step outside of this door, outside of the air conditioner, bam, hits me like a brick right upside the head.
It hit you. Well, as you know, living with multiple sclerosis, heat can exacerbate our symptoms. So
correct.
Trying to stay cool and out of the heat, and summertime is a very tricky time to deal with it.
And whether we believe in climate change, global warming, or whatever, I'm telling you, it is hotter this year than it's been in the last 5, 6. Period. I don't care. Don't tell me. Don't call it by name. Just tell me the temperature's gone up.
It has.
Yeah.
It's countrywide, worldwide.
Worldwide.
Listen, it is HOT hot, and I'm glad you said that because it gives me some hope. Because I was in the hospital. I was telling the ladies this. I was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago from the heat in Texas, and I had never felt like this before. I used to be okay in the heat, but I know it's not obviously our best friend. But I also now I'm opening up to the possibility that it comes in waves, or can come in waves with living with this disease, I guess is what I'm taking.
That's the one thing that you nailed. I got to tell you something. I believe very strongly. There are times when I've had 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I had a couple MRIs where the doctors were saying, I don't see the lesions that I saw before. And then the next year I have it, and then those lesions are back again. And then the next year I have it, and they're not as prevalent. So we do know that this disease does roller coaster. It ebbs and it flows. So if you had a heat exacerbation, be real careful, my brother. One of the things that's happened with me, especially since my stroke, is that I don't know I've overheated until I already have. So I don't feel the heat coming on. I may step outside and think I'm fine. But that's where, again, my wife comes in, because she will say to me, baby, are you hot? I don't feel hot. Baby, are you hot? And then I have to really kind of check myself. And I realize, I'm perspiring under my pecs. I'm perspiring in my stomach. Yeah, I am hot. And then, because my body doesn't register that temperature. So then I got to get into the cold and hunker down for a little while in that air conditioner, and I'm okay.
Yeah. I took my notes, ladies. I took my notes on what you just said. I was over here writing, so I made sure to take my notes on that.
Yeah, don't ever wait till it's too late. I mean, the second if your wife says, "Well, I'm hot," if she says she's hot, you know you're hot. You may not feel it, but that could be your extra gauge. Your kids could be their extra gauge. If they say they're hot, you are already hot. So you need to cool down. And if people around you, if you're in a business meeting or something, and people say, "There's a little warm in this room," and you didn't feel it, then you know you were already beyond that point. Maybe you fried a couple of the nerves that are part of your thermostat. Okay, so just get cold, cool it down. Go stand in front of the air conditioner, stand right there in front of it. It's not going to hurt you. That won't even be cold.
Such helpful information.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, because people don't know, like you just said, Montel, your nerves can be damaged and you don't feel the same as others feel. It's so important. Yeah.
I'll give you, here, I thought it's things that you don't think about. Like, you go in a lot of restaurants these days, and a lot of these restaurants have these glass, fake gas fireplaces.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, for the normal human being, they don't feel the heat coming off that fireplace. I will guarantee you, before you know you overheated, if you're sitting near that fireplace, your body is sensing that heat.
Yeah.
You may not know you're sensing that heat, but your body's sensing that heat. I was literally at a restaurant here in Miami outside, and this was in January timeframe, about a year ago. And it was cool outside, and a full table away from me, there was one of those fire pits. I'm outside. I'm a full table away. My table was cool. My wife, a couple friends. And then I remember thinking to myself, did the wind just change? Because the breeze had changed, and it was blowing that heat over towards me. And by the time I realized that had happened, my friends were picking me up off the ground.
Oh, no.
Because I passed out. I did not realize I was getting that hot. And they were going to call, and I said, "No, just give me an air conditioner." Got some cold towels, put on my neck, cool down. But that's my problem. I don't really have a good thermostat. So I can't play around with that. I don't mess around with it at all. I will, if I don't go down and jump into a car, cut it on to try to cool it down. Ain't happening.
Right.
I'll send somebody down, or I'll run out, cut it on, step back inside, let it cool down, then I'll go out and get in it. If I take an Uber, I will literally text the Uber and a message: "Is your air conditioner on?" Cut it to 69. Then I'll get in the car. We sleep. I and my wife sleep at night in an apartment that the thermostat's set at 66.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to overheat at night.
At nighttime, while you're sleeping, and there's no thermostat.
Thermostat won't know. Overheated.
You won't know it. Yeah.
No, our body won't wake us up to tell us.
Correct.
To make sure that it is. And you're right. We all live in very hot climates. We know how to take care of ourselves, and we just need to be reminded.
I'm sure, I don't know, Tyler, you're still exercising, right?
Yeah, still exercising, but in here I have to get up either early, Montel, or very late in the evening.
There you go. Same here. Same here. And I no longer work out anymore. I work out in the early evenings, but I work out in a very cool gym. I don't work out outside anymore, especially in Miami. I won't do that until probably October or November, until it really gets cool again. But I also have to check myself and hold myself to 20 minutes of aerobics at a time. I do 20 minutes, get off the treadmill. Even if it doesn't matter if I feel hot or not. I just get off, stop, go get some water, drink some cool water, sit for a second, feel my skin feels okay, doesn't feel like it's over hot. Then I'll maybe do another 20 minutes. But I don't try to do 40 minutes in a row, because that 40 minutes in a row might make me wind up on the ground, because my body temperature will go up, and I'm not aware of it. So you just got to kind of pre-think things like that all the time.
And that doesn't make you any less of a woman or any less of a man in doing it. And so with people, you don't feel bad. Please don't feel bad. Feel safe.
Absolutely. That's good advice, man. Especially everybody who's listening and tuned in right now. Don't feel sad. Feel like, you're doing something proactive. You're teaching other people how to be proactive. Because, heat issues don't just involve people with MS. No. They involve people with lots of other maladies that aren't paying as close attention that they should be. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's no shame in that game at all. It's called perseverance and it's called staying alive.
No, that's right.
Smart. Definitely. So, boy, you two have given us so much joy over the last 30, 40 minutes that we were talking with one another. Tyler and Montel, what other things would you like to say to one another today?
Oh, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for helping to give me that boost I'll need for the next couple of months. I really appreciate it. I really do. And anytime, you're welcome to reach out, and I'm going to have my group reach out to you to see if you want to do my podcast. Maybe, you got to come on and do the podcast with me. And, let's stay hooked at the hip. So at least, when, even on those tough times, my brother, you can call me, man. I'm here. No judge, just a voice.
Oh,
that means I was on my show yesterday or on Saturday. I told people, 14 years for me, and be patient with yourself and give yourself some grace in this race. Give yourself grace, and for me to be able to finally get there, and I always said, and one day I'm gonna be able to just tell him thank you. Oh. And it finally happened, and I just thank you for being obedient to your mission. And being the kid who's a child of growing up in the 90s and seeing you on television and watching you with my grandma on television for so many years. My grandma never missed a show. And to see you as the man and the husband and the father you are now, it's a lot bigger than the MS walk. It's the embodiment of the full man. And I thank you so very much for that. And that speaks to so many people. And so for me, it's just a plum pleasing pleasure, as the older folks said, and I just appreciate this so much, and I can't wait to tell my wife about what finally happened, because she was there when I was in college at 21, and I told her, I said, one day I'm gonna tell him thank you, Shayna. One day I'm gonna tell him thank you for the man he is, and I'm good. I'm good for a number of years, Montel. I'm straight. No, I'm good. My daughter's probably gonna get anything she wants out of me today. I'm in more trouble right now than I think I am.
Wait, are they there right now?
I have one in school, and I have a little small one, but my middle child, because I have three, that middle one, she's gonna get everything she wants out of daddy today. With her 4-year-old self.
Tell her I said hello for sure. And make sure that she hugs and holds daddy close.
Oh, that's so sweet. And Montel, we like to have you back on because we are going to talk all about cannabis. We want to know all about the fun things you're doing. Once Georgia gets their legislature to sign off, hopefully it's this month, we've been told, counting down by Friday this week, that they will get this rocking and rolling. So,
well, you have to let me know, because I've launched my brand new line of products out of Massachusetts, which have THC in them. I will be launching my brand of product, just CBD alone, across the country within the next 60 days.
Beautiful.
And they're under two different names. My THC line is called I'm sorry, my CBD line is Live Better, and that line will come out in the next 60 days. And right now I'm in about 28 different dispensaries in Northern California. I'm sorry, in Massachusetts.
Yes.
In 27 different stores in Massachusetts right now. So hopefully when you guys launch in Georgia, I'd love to come down there and see about
anything we can do to help you. And there's so many good things coming down the Beltline for all of us. And it is our pleasure today. And before we let you go today, Tyler knows how we always end our podcast, but we would like to ask you, Montel, we always end with, what is your happy place? Tamara and I always talk about our happy places. It doesn't have to be a physical place. It can be an emotional place. But what would you say your happy place is?
You know, I'm not saying this as some shameless plug. My THC line is called Inspire. I literally picked that name because Inspire by Montel, and it's a combination of CBD, THC mixed together in different formulations to elicit different responses. So I've got like 95% THC and 5% CBD with particular terpenes, and I have a 50-50. Then I have a 90% CBD, only 10% THC, and then particular terpenes. My happy place, especially in the last couple of years now, has been, I've been involved in cannabis for 20 years. Since my diagnosis with MS, pretty much right after I got off of opioids. And my happy place has been figuring out the science behind the plant so that I can help bring people the most relief. And so there are times when I can sample a new formulation and then sit with my wife, and she and I are binge watchers of streaming services. And it's just so funny because we'll be sitting there, and I know I look over at her, and it's like I just think about how blessed I am to have her in my life.
Beautiful.
That's my
Beautiful.
Thank you,
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. We are so grateful for you being on our podcast today, and thank you so much.
You have been a blessing always, standing by Tamara and myself. So thank you. And we're going to be a great team, all of us. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You stay well, stay safe, watch out for the heat. Love your family.
love you.
Love you, Montel.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Mirror Image MS Madness, where we share the good, the bad, and the funny. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at TwinsCoast2Coast. That's TwinsCoast, the number 2 coast. You can also email us at TwinsCoast2Coast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Stay tuned to our next episode. We release our dates on Instagram, so follow us there for updates. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to find your happy place, and we will see you in the next one. Mwah.